Hey Cinemas Fire, if you're wondering why I'm coming to you from in front of this messy desk, it's because I still haven't done the thing in my video room, and I'm publicly shaming myself by showing you how nothing I've done. Someday. Anyway, it's October, which means among other things, it's almost November, which means among other things, it's almost time for National Novel Writing Month. At this point, it's probably well known enough that I don't have to explain, but just in case, National Novel Writing Month is when you write a 50,000 word novel, which is actually a very short novel, but still a lot of words, in 1 month. And this averages out to about 1,667 words a day. I have done National Novel Writing Month for quite some time now. I've won 4 times. The last 4 years in a row, I've hit that 50,000 mark. A couple of years before that, I failed 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row, 2 or 3 times in a row. Before that, I had failed several times and kind of given it up. Really, the only thing that motivated me after those initial failures was that I was friends with people who were doing it, and they got really excited about it, and every year I would be like, I'm not gonna do it, it's a lot of work. And then I would end up doing it because they would just be so worked up about it and make it sound like something I wanted to do, and we'd work on it together, and it'd be a lot of fun. But I've already made videos about my NaNoWriMo history. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link somewhere, sometime. Watch for it, it'll be fun. It's right now. So rather than go over my personal National Novel Writing Month history again, I thought that I would talk a little bit about the 2 main camps of writers that do NaNoWriMo. In general, there are 2 kinds of people. There are plotters and there are pantsers. The difference is a plotter is someone who plans ahead of time. They have outlines, they have notes, they think really hard about what their characters will be doing, where they'll be doing it, what kind of scenes they want to write, what their overall theme might be, any number of things. Pantsers, on the other hand, are named so because they write by the seat of their pants. You just go. You don't know where you're going, you don't know who you meet on the way, you just go. The interesting thing about these 2 personality groups is that most of the time, either side cannot possibly imagine writing the other way. Pantsers can't imagine being pinned down by notes and outlines, and plotters can't imagine moving forward with no direction, especially when you have to write 50,000 words in a month. How do you do that without knowing where you're going? But speaking as a pantser, it's so much easier when you don't know where you're going. Back when I used to fail NaNoWriMo all the time, I tried to be a plotter. I went in with an expectation of the story I was going to write. I had characters in mind, I had a goal for where I was going with the story, and every time I would hit a wall almost immediately. See, the thing about NaNoWriMo is that you have to train yourself to just move forward always. You don't have time to stop and edit. You don't have time to stop and wonder how this will fit into the story as a whole. You just have to keep plowing forward or you will not reach the finish line. For that to work as a plotter, you have to be really meticulous and know exactly where you're going, because if you're going to follow that path, you have to know that path is going to work out. For me personally, that didn't happen, and I failed whenever I tried to plan ahead. My first win actually came because I had a story idea that I'd started a couple years ago where I had a beginning and a very, very vague middle, and I didn't really care how I got from point A to point B. And that was the perfect blend of planning ahead and just going, that I was still able to get 50,000 words. It was the first time I'd ever done it. I was really happy. And actually, of the 4 times that I've won, that's the only story that probably would have any hope of being made into something bigger, although it's me, so that's probably never gonna happen. And ever since, I've been more and more of a pantser. The year after my first win, I went in with a structured story like I had in the years past, and once again, that failed completely. So 13 days into November, I scrapped everything I'd written, which was only 6,000 words, started over with almost no plan in mind, and I really just started writing to fill the words up because I knew I had to get a lot done if I was going to hit 50,000 words. All of my characters were crazy, which made it really easy to just write a whole bunch of words that didn't even have to make sense, and I won. I got 50,000 words. The year after that, I went in with just a title, and last year, I literally had no idea what I was going to do until I started writing on November 1st. I just started typing, and that was the beginning of the story. I had given it no thought whatsoever ahead of time, and actually I think it turned out to be my favorite of the 4. So my challenge for this year is, how do I plan less than not at all? Because I feel like I need to keep the progression going, but I have nowhere left to go. There are, of course, some disadvantages to being a pantser. For example, throughout my stories, sometimes the characters will change age, their hometowns may change, their heights, hair colors. Everything is up for grabs because I can't remember what they looked like, and then I just kind of make it up a second time. If I were a plotter, I would have that information available for reference whenever I needed it, although a pantser could do that as well if they would just take notes as they went, but we're pantsers, we don't prepare for things, that's the point. For me, being a pantser is the only way I'm gonna get to 50,000 words in a single month. If I know where I'm going, I don't see the point of going there, I guess, but if I'm writing as a pantser where I don't know where the story is going, I have to just keep going, and eventually I'll figure out where I was moving towards. Being a pantser also means missing out on one of the major issues of being a plotter, which is sometimes your characters might change as the story goes, and you weren't ready for that. Like, you really wanted them to go to point A, and then you started writing, and they went to point B, and you don't know how to get them back there because you had never prepared for any other situation. You never have that as a pantser. You don't even know where point A is yet. Of course, I was talking about disadvantages. Another disadvantage is that you lose track. Much like this video that I hadn't planned in advance at all, you might just end up in random places and it might not be as coherent as you would have liked. So if you've tried NaNoWriMo in the past and it didn't work out, maybe you should try switching styles from pantser to plotter or vice versa. Sometimes following your plan is just too much pressure to get 50,000 words in 1 month, and sometimes you just can't hit a goal like that if you don't go in knowing what you're gonna do. It's gonna be different for each person. So that's it for me. If you have any advice on how to somehow become even less prepared for NaNoWriMo, I would love to hear it, because I really don't know what I'm gonna do this year. Until then, I've been Chris Bergen with We Are St. Elmo's Fire. We'll see you next time. This microphone's not hooked up to anything.